What's up, guys? Laura Whitmore here, owner of Strategic Test Prep, and I have been a test prep instructor for over 15 years now. I super scored a 1570 on the SAT, and this video is part of my 2023 SAT prep series. I'm going to give you guys valuable information for both the paper test and the digital SAT. Are you new to my channel? Well, make sure you hit that subscribe button below so that you can become an SAT savant with all the awesome information that I give you guys. Okay, guys, so many of you took a test this spring, whether it was the March, the May, the June, and you've gotten your results back and you're probably wondering, what are all these crazy numbers on my score report? This is such a key part of the prep process. It's something that I do with all of my students once they get a score back. I sit down with them and we analyze their numbers together in order to help us make informed decisions for how we're going to prep moving forward. So in this video today, I'm actually going to explain what all the numbers mean on your score report. There will be part 1, which is for the paper SAT. And then in part 2, I'm going to cover the digital SAT score report. So there will be timestamps below in the description if you want to jump ahead. All right, guys, so before we get started, if you got your score back and you plan on taking another test, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button below. Okay, so we're looking at a sample student's score report. Let me just walk you guys through some key information. Obviously, you know the total scores out of 1,600, so we're not really going to focus on that. But you have 3 sub-scores. You have a reading, writing, and language and math. Now, reading and writing and language, basically you add those 2 numbers together and throw a 0 on the end, and that's how you get your reading and writing score, or your English score. How do they get those scores though? So if you look down, these cross-test scores are actually super important, and I really look at those when I'm about to work with a new student or when I'm taking the next step with a student I'm already working with to bring them to the next level. So looking at the sub-scores, you'll see the first score is a command of evidence sub-score. That is for the reading section. A command of evidence question looks like this. So as you can see, there are basically line number, line references as the answer choices. It's called a command of evidence because you need to find the textual evidence to back up the answer. So this student only has a 5 out of 15. The sub-scores go up to 15. So what that tells me is they need a lot of work in command of evidence. Maybe they don't know how to tackle these questions appropriately. So I would really work with them heavily on that. So if your command of evidence sub-score is lower, you need to focus on those questions that deal with line references and the answer choices. All right, the next sub-score is the words and context sub-score. This is also a reading sub-score. So words and context questions look like this. So as you can see, you basically have to pick a new word to go in that word's place. All right, so moving on to the next sub-score, you see there's an expression of ideas sub-score. Expression of ideas questions look like this. So as you can see, this is a writing sub-score in the writing section. An expression of ideas question you can easily pinpoint because there is a question above the answer choices. So these questions involve more reading. For instance, they might say, how can you move this sentence? Or what's the best transition from the previous paragraph into the new paragraph? With expression of ideas, because there's a little bit more reading involved, there's actually strategies that you can use to streamline your approach and save time and make these questions easier. So that being said, I do have a really awesome SAT prep course if you're still taking the paper-based test this year. And I cover all the strategies that you need to know for the reading and the writing sections in there. It's actually based off of my SAT in-person workshop that I do. And it has exclusive video content that you can't get on YouTube or anywhere else, plus an awesome 200-page workbook with all these exercises and activities in it. So if you need to up your English score, or even if you have to up your math score because there are math modules in there as well, definitely sign up for that so that you can get ready for the next test, whether it's the August or the October. Okay, so as you can see, the next category is standard English conventions. So standard English conventions is also a writing subcategory. That's your grammar questions. So a standard English convention question looks like this. Basically, if there's no question in front of the answer choices, you're just correcting something directly in the passage. That's a standard English convention question. And in that course I just mentioned, you guys, I have an awesome grammar lesson that teaches you all the tricks to be able to get all these questions right. Let's go to the math subscores. Heart of algebra is pretty self-explanatory. It's questions where you have to do algebra on them. Problem solving and data analysis is your section 4 questions. Passport to advanced math is going to be some of the tougher questions. And it looks like this student is pretty strong in all 3 categories. So with this student in particular, I would probably recommend that they focus on just the English for their next test so that they can super score. All right, so now let's talk about a score report for the digital SAT. I mean, these score reports are newer. I could totally see how you guys would get your score report back and be like, what is this? What does this mean? All right, so let's take a look at the reading and writing subcategories first. So your first subcategory is craft and structure. As you can see, it's about 28% of the section, and there's 13 to 15 questions. What kind of questions make up craft and structure? Well, words and context questions, main purpose of text, function of the underlined sentence, and comparing text 1 and text 2. All of those are craft and structure. Now, I think it's important to note that there's a difference between main purpose of text and main idea of text. Main purpose of text is the why. Like, why is the author writing this paragraph? What's their intention? Are they trying to persuade the reader to believe a certain thing? Something like that. Whereas a main idea of text is really the argument of the text. So just a heads up, because main idea comes in a different category. So this student, as you can see, you know, they have 6 bars filled in out of 7. So if there's roughly 14 questions, that means they got about 12 out of 14 right. I'm just doing a proportion, you guys. 6 bars out of 7 would be about 12 questions out of 14. So they probably missed a couple questions in this category. Information and ideas. So that's 26% of the section, almost the same as craft and structure. Maybe 1 question less than craft and structure. And it's made up of these types of questions: main idea questions, supports a claim question, quotation that illustrates a claim, which is basically the same as supports a claim. Graphs and tables are in information and ideas, and logically completes the text questions are in information and ideas. So again, the student has 6 out of 7 bars filled in. That means that they got, 10 to 12 questions right out of 12 to 14. So there's a little bit of room for improvement. My guess is they probably missed a couple questions in Module 2, because obviously Module 2 is this harder module if you're able to do well on Module 1. Expression of ideas is 20% of the section. It makes up about 8 to 12 questions. So we'll say roughly 10 questions. Now, in expression of ideas, it basically includes transition questions and note-taking questions. Now, guys, I've done videos on note-taking questions before. Super easy. Transition questions, you definitely need to know what category each word goes in, how the words are used. And that being said, I have a breaking news announcement. The digital SAT course I have created is actually live, you guys. In my course, I actually cover all these different categories and strategies for doing all these different types of questions. So there's a really juicy transitions lesson in there. All the videos are exclusive. You cannot get them on YouTube. There's a 200-page workbook with exclusive questions you can't get anywhere else. And it gives you a really solid prep plan that I've already been doing with my one-on-one students. So if you're trying to improve your English score, I would say sign up for this course. And right now I am giving you guys a really awesome discount for being a loyal YouTube viewer. So when you check out now, if you put in the promo code 50 off, you're going to get $50 off this awesome course. So, all right, standard English conventions, that's the last category. Same as the paper test, the standard English conventions are the grammar questions. You know, semicolon rules, colon rules, comma placement rules, apostrophe rules, subject-verb agreement, parallelism, all of that goes into standard English conventions, and there's definitely a video lesson and content in my course that covers that as well. So it looks like from, you know, this student's score report, they need the most work in expression of ideas. So I would really hammer on a transitions lesson with them, make sure that they're clear on how to tackle the note-taking questions. And I would also focus a little bit on craft and structure and information and ideas as well. Okay, guys, if we move to the math categories, I think that they're more self-explanatory. Problem solving and data analysis, that's your stats questions. So scatter plots, box plots, dot plots, median, mode, range. Advanced math, you get pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be the tougher stuff. Advanced math questions, honestly, if you use the Desmos calculator, a lot of the time it makes it way easier. That gives you an idea of how to read your score report so that you can make better decisions as far as what section you're going to focus on next. If you're going to try to just super score, what you're going to do. Honestly, this was a student of mine and we worked together for a while, and then he ended up getting a 1420, which was really awesome. So proud of him. So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video today. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, I so appreciate you. Go ahead and comment below turtles all the way down. That way I'll know you made it to the end of the video. And until next time, guys, happy prepping.